Hi guys, welcome back to the Amp Life. In today's video I'll be talking about the 5 reasons why I decided it was time to amputate. I think this is possibly one of the most important videos I have ever made, and maybe one of the most important I will ever make. These are my big reasons, they work for me, but I'm sure we'll find overlap, and I think some of them will be universal. So, I mean, let's be honest, if I think of the 3 biggest decisions I've ever taken in my life, the one will be to get married, the second would be to have children, and the third would be to have an amputation. And it turned out they were all excellent decisions. I'd like to explain to you why on the amputation I do believe I absolutely made the right decision and what had to happen for me to get to that point. And I truly hope if you're in that position where you have ambivalence about amputation, or you're in that situation or in that period where you're seriously contemplating amputation as an elective amputee, that today will give you some insight and hopefully help you to come to a decision in a way that you feel you've made the right decision. Also, for those of us that have had an amputation, maybe there are moments where you go, I wonder if it was the right decision, and hopefully listening to this video today will help you to really check those boxes and go, I absolutely did make the right decision, that there are no regrets for having made the decision. So here are the reasons why I decided it was time and it was the right thing to do. Just quickly, thank you guys for a bunch of people have subscribed over the last week or 2, and I'm really grateful for that. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so and joining our Amp Life community. Also, something I'd like to tell you is that I'm super amped and excited to be going to the Amputee Coalition convention in San Antonio, Texas at the end of July, and right after that I'll be heading off into the Moab a little bit to go and check out that beautiful part of the US. So with a bit of luck I'll see some of you guys out. And if you'd like to do a collaboration while I'm in San Antonio and put some of it on video to put out there on YouTube, I would welcome that. I'd really enjoy that, so put them in the comments below. Maybe we can hook up and do something really good. Alright guys, getting into the 5 reasons. So look, I really thought about this, and there are 4 big ones, but I think the 5th one kind of pulls them all together neatly and finally shows that it was the right decision. Okay guys, here are my big 5. 1, for medical reasons. Basically, on a very simple level, there was always going to be the threat that I would contract full-blown septicemia from ongoing infections. So it was certainly a life-saving decision. It's a decision I had to make to mitigate any possibility of me succumbing to full-blown septicemia. Now, living with infection is horrible. It's something I don't want to go into too much because it's not a nice topic. It's unsavory. But to have to clean wounds all the time, you disconnect from your body. I felt like my body was contaminated, and I experienced constant medical intervention. That is to say, I had to go into hospital. I'd say on average once a year, sometimes twice a year, to have operations done. And it was more than once or twice. It was a lot more often, and that was exhausting. Also, obviously, it's bad for the body to constantly go into these antibiotics and to go under anesthesia in the hospital. And it felt as though my body was contaminated, but it also was being contaminated. So a big reason is medical. The second big one, mobility. So my leg was fused at the knee and fused at the ankle, and that severely limited my mobility. So to have a stiff leg, and imagine tying a broomstick to your leg and trying to move around. You struggle to get into cars, you struggle to get into planes, you struggle in restaurants, you struggle in the movies. The speed at which you can move is severely impacted on. It really isn't a nice way to live. So with my limited mobility, it also impacted on all the things I used to love doing. For instance, I couldn't surf because you can't surf with a stiff leg. For instance, I would struggle to put myself into a kayak, to row. It was difficult to swim because I had this heavy thing dragging behind me. It was possible, it was difficult. Also, to hike was impossible. To walk up a mountain with a stiff leg, or even just down the road with stepping onto a pavement was extremely difficult. Now, since I've had the amputation done, I'm able to, with my prosthetic leg, take a walk through a city or through town or into nature, take my camera, take photographs. So my mobility was drastically improved by the amputation. So my second big reason, huge improvement in my mobility. Number 3 is the big one. It's the one I talk about so often, which is pain. Now there are a few factors I had to consider when you think of pain. The first one is, was it acute? What was the pain level on a scale of 0 to 10? And I would say it constantly fluctuated. When I was lucky on a 6, but mostly on a 7, 8, even a 9. And that's no way to live. The second is, was it chronic? In other words, did it pretty much occur all the time? And for me that was true. It was seldom that I had reprieve from the pain. The third factor is, could I survive the pain through medication? And of course, as you guys know by now, those of you that know me well, is that I became dependent on substances just to function, and ultimately became addicted to opioids, which was a terrible place to get yourself into. To become dependent on any substance, I think, is awful. And I was just tired of punishing the body with medication that would ultimately, as I grew older, surely take its toll on my overall physical well-being. You know, I think the thing is, just to live with pain all the time is exhausting. It permeated every part of my life, and obviously since I've had the amputation, to live largely pain-free proved that point to be correct. Number 4 is that sense of finality, or alternatively is living with the unknown, is never knowing how will this end, how will it end, will it end at all, if at all. And what amputation brought, and this is a huge, like a really important point for me, is what amputation brought was a finiteness. I could define where I was. I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I knew that from that point on, if I remained fairly fit and I had a fairly good prosthetics, which I do, that my life would definitely, quality of life would definitely improve. To live with a constant uncertainty of wondering, will it get better, should I amputate, then things do get better and the infection goes away, the pain leaves for a bit, and then it returns, and the terrible emotional crash you have when that happens. So the sense of finality, I had a quantifiable, I knew exactly where I would stand once the amputation was done. The only one thing I was uncertain about is the pain factor, but for the rest there was a finality about having it done. That came as a huge relief. And then the fifth reason, which kind of pulls this all together, is that with the amputation I gained a sense, or contemplating amputation, with that, this is going to sound odd maybe, but there was a sense of excitement as to what is possible. I mean, I became curious of what could I be able to do again? What was it like to be an amputee? What was it like to be pain-free? What was it like to be more mobile? I started looking up on prosthetics. So the overall sense of curiosity, I think the sense of possibility and the light that came with curiosity penetrated the darkness that came with the fear of amputation, and ultimately obliterated that darkness that was fear of amputation. And I think it's at that point, when I realized I'd become curious of a new way of life, that I'd finally decided this was it. It was time to make the decision. And at that point I realized my life was no longer at hold. I could make new plans, and just started embracing a different way of engaging what I used to love, and even pursue the possibility of new activities and new opportunities with and without my friends and my family. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. I truly, in my heart, believe this is one of the most important vlogs that I've made. I hope that you find value in it. If you're contemplating amputation, I really hope that you find something in this that will be of value to you. And as I said earlier, if you've just elected to amputate, I hope that you've been able to check a couple of boxes that will reinforce that decision that you made to do so. Thanks for joining me today. I will see you guys on the next one. Ciao.